Hey folks, Dave Delevante here, and I was actually going to try and get onto this live broadcast with my computer, and my computer was not being agreeable at the time. So I'm going to go ahead and use my iPad, which actually I'm kind of more comfortable with. It gives me a more cozy environment here. Sorry for the crookedness. If someone could let me know that you're actually hearing me, so I know that this is working, that would be awesome. And let me see if I can play with a few toys here while we're waiting for folks. There we go. I could tell you a funny story. I did a Facebook Live. There we go. Thanks. Yeah, if you can just let me know that you can hear me, I appreciate it. That'd be awesome. Hey, Scott. All right, great. Anyway, I'll tell you a funny story. I'm probably one of the older of the crowd when it comes to technology and all that kind of stuff. And I actually did my first Facebook Live. I recorded someone else. It was one of my distributors, Dr. Stacia Kelly, recorded her for a half an hour doing a Facebook Live and realized that I never hit the live button. So for a half an hour, I sat there and held my camera like this, and she did this beautiful talk, very skillful, and as always. And at the end of it, there was nothing there. So kind of funny. Anyway, yeah, Stacia remembers it as well. So anyway, today's topic is follow-up, and I'm pretty excited to talk about follow-up because I think it's one of the keys. But I want to give you a little bit of background first. First of all, big shout out to the USANA United USA. This Facebook group is absolutely amazing. We have got an incredible group of about 100 participants, and these are all, these are the cream of the crop participants throughout USANA. We've got about 20 organizers. They're amazing as well, and it's an act of love that they're putting this whole thing out there. And it's exciting for me because what that means is, as a brand new distributor, I can take my brand new distributors and send them to this environment that's a safe environment where they're going to hear the real nuts and bolts training and the belief building and everything that they need to be successful in USANA. So a little bit of background on me. My wife Trish and I have been with USANA for 20 years as of just this February, so 20 years and a couple of months. And we got started. My background was I had an engineering degree. So my degree was in naval architecture and marine engineering. And I designed ships for the U.S. military for about 23 years. And Trish, pretty much from college age into her mid-30s, she was dealing with some fatigue issues and things like that. So we were looking for a good line of supplements. We were not looking for a business. I was definitely in the old mindset of, I went to college, you get a job, you work till you're in your 60s or whatever, and then you hope that you have enough to, you hope you can survive on half of what you were making before when you retire. And I thought that was a good plan for some reason. Anyway, that was kind of my plan. So USANA comes along, and the products, they just changed Trisha's quality of life dramatically. So she was back to doing choreography and dance and things like that. So that was very, very exciting for us. But the business side of it, it didn't even resonate with me at first. And what happened, and I always give this warning to my new distributors, and that is that USANA gets under your skin. Literally, and if you use Celavive, it gets on your skin, it gets under your skin. You take the pills, they get under your skin, whatever, but literally and figuratively. And if you have a life-changing event with USANA, it's very hard not to share it. And that's what happened. So a few folks at church said, "Wow, Trish, you're looking good, your energy's up, what's going on?" And they had kids that had several issues and things like that, and we were able to help them get better nutrition, better quality of life, and this just kind of grew. And we were very, very excited. And it actually became sort of a hobby that was bringing in some extra income, which was great. And we enjoyed that for a little while, maybe a couple of years or so, something like that. And then at about year 5 is when I really caught the vision for USANA. So this was like in January of 03. So we started in 98. So we caught the vision for it. We started, I sat down with Trish and I said, I want to put together a plan where I could quit my job. Now my job was I was making 6-figure income. I had a 401k. I had, health insurance, all that kind of stuff. So the thought of quitting a job sounded a little bit crazy at the time. But we put together a 2-year plan. And at the end of those 2 years, it was almost 2 years to the day, January 5th, 05, I was able to leave my job. and I have not. I'm happily self-unemployed. That's the term I use. But it's been 20 years, and we're kind of living life here. We're now Foundation Executive Diamonds, and for the folks that are new here, what that means is you've been a diamond, you've made a bunch of money, and you've lived long enough. So that's the summary. There's a whole bunch of other requirements in there, but we've been IDC members, Independent Distributor Council members, $1 Million Club, a bunch of accolades. And I'm not saying any of that to brag. What I'm saying is, if I can do this, anybody can do this. I had no sales skills. I was an engineer. I like to draw ships, and I tell people proudly that most of the ships that I designed floated, and the majority of them upright. So that was pretty. I pat myself on the back for that one. But I mean, I literally worked with pretty much the same team of 5 or 6, 7 engineers, for years and years and years. Was not the best at selling or public speaking or learning personality types or all the skill sets that you need to learn here in USANA land. So for folks that have absolutely no idea how to sell or how to do anything like that, you're in the right place. Like I said, if I could do this, anybody can do this. It's really about caring for people. So today's topic is follow-up. And I was at a training a number of years ago, and someone, it may have been an international convention, someone put a bunch of people across the stage kind of holding hands in a row, and each person represented a sort of a notch in the chain of the process of bringing somebody into USANA, right? So it's a process. You set some goals, you develop a names list, and you can work your way down. So each person had it was like almost as if they were wearing a sign. So this person's sign would say, set your goals. This person's sign would say, develop your names list. Then you invite. Then you might follow up on the invite. Then you might present. Then you might learn how to follow up on a presentation. Then you might close. Then you might follow up on that person. So it's a process that goes all the way along until you have at the end either a customer or a distributor. And that's just the way it works, right? Well, the bottom line is if that process breaks down anywhere, you lose, right? So if you learned 5 or 6 of those steps, but you never learned to close, you'd never close anyone. If you never learned to develop a names list, you'd never even get to the point where you could close. So you have to, each step in the process. What I love about the USANA United USA is we're learning the steps in the process, and a brand new person can go back and look at every single step along the way. So the step that I'm teaching on right now is vital. It's called follow-up. It's where the fortune is, but there's a whole bunch of other steps also, and you need to learn each one of those, and we've had wonderful trainings on all of those so far. So, and you can check back. The beauty of this is they're recorded, so you can check back on them. So let's talk about follow-up. And this is my firm belief is the purpose within USANA. Within USANA, you're going to end up having customers, you're going to end up having distributors or associates. And the purpose of follow-up is to eventually get them to hear the whole story. And I want to emphasize that because it's very, very important. The purpose of follow-up is not to sell them a product. The purpose of follow-up is not to sell them a business or entice them into joining your group. Where the purpose is to eventually get them to hear the whole story of USANA, right? In whatever shape or form that is, right? So there are steps that might need to be taken. So the purpose of each individual follow-up is to give them enough information and follow up with them to move them along a sort of a timeline. Because face it, the average person is, sometimes you sit down with someone and they're like, wow, this is fantastic, I'm all in. Other times you sit down with someone and they say, wow, I've got a lot of questions, I need more information, and you need to walk them through the steps, right? And a little side note, and it's not really necessarily follow-up related, but I always tell people the whole story, even if I'm dealing with a product person. If I sit down and I'm chatting with a product person, I believe most people, either they're trying to increase their endurance or reduce weight, or they've got an ailment, or they're looking for quality of life improvements. So they kind of know they need the products. A lot of people need the business and don't even know they need it. I didn't know I needed it. I had no idea. So my goal is to have enough time and put enough value on the presentation where I'm like, if someone says, oh, I just have 5 minutes, can you just tell me about it in 5 minutes? I say, no, I can't. I need probably 30 minutes with you. I'm going to sit down and lay out what exactly USANA is. So, and I lay out the products and the story of Dr. Wentz and all that, and that's a whole nother training. But I do all that, and my goal is, even if I'm talking to them only about products, at the end of it, I say, hey, you know what? I actually earn my commission through referrals, and would you mind, it may not be for you, but it might be for someone that you know, would you mind if I just showed you how I actually earn money? And I've never had anyone say, no, I don't want to know that. I'm not saying, would you like to earn money? I'm saying, would you mind if I showed you how I earn income in USANA? It might be for someone you know. Okay, so that's, if they're a pure product person, I always add that line in there, and then I just tell them, I don't draw the whole plan for them, but I show them a little bit about how the process works. So I hope that helped. Hope that speaks to somebody. So what I do is, again, it's all about the process. So and I want them to hear the whole story. So I start out. Let's say I have, and there's different types of follow up. So the first follow up would be on a person that you just met in the grocery store or something like that, and you've had a conversation with them. And here's a good one that I like to do. If I have a conversation with someone, that they're the grocery store clerk, they're the cashier, right? And inevitably, everyone has something going on in their life. So they mention, gee, I've got migraines. Okay, I don't immediately pounce on them. I actually wait, and this is my tactic. And all of it, anything that I tell you, by the way, these are my ideas. This is what has worked for me over the years. But you have an upline, you have a mentor, you have someone that you're working with, you have a team, and they may have completely different ways of doing business. And what I love about USANA United is we all give our ideas, but ultimately it's between you and your team what you're going to decide to do. But one little trick I've learned is a grocery store clerk, if they mention, let's say, migraines, I don't pounce on them right away. I wait, and the next time I come around 3 or 4 days later, I look for that same clerk, the same cashier, and I go through that line again, and I say, Mary, last week when I was here, you mentioned to me someone in your family had migraines. I said, would you give me your phone number? I'd like to text you a link with some information on it. Or you could say, would you give me your email? And I'll email you some information on migraines. I don't know if it can help you or not, but I think it might be able to. And everyone wants information. They want to be fed and they want to be cared for. And the look on their face when you say, wow, I've been thinking about you all week, and I really want to get you this information. It's not jumping on them; it's caring for them, and that's what they want to feel. They want to feel cared for. So that's my little trick. But so let's say they do say that yes, they indeed will accept an email, and maybe you send them some information. Maybe you send them a little video from USANA or something like that, or whatever. It's very, very important to say, hey, I'm going to send you a video. And I'd like you to just take a look at it and see if kind of see if it resonates with you or whatever. But I'd like to follow up with you. Okay. Now, a grocery store clerk that you sort of just met, very, very cold market. You haven't really warmed them up or brought them into a hot market mode yet, or whatever. You can come back again in 3 days again and just chat. You can do that. That's fine. But as it gets further along, you want to make your follow-ups way, way more specific. They start becoming appointments. So let's say she says, yeah, I'll look at it. And you say, hey, can I do me a favor? Can I give you a call? Are you off on Thursdays? Oh, you're off on Thursday? Okay, can I give you a call Thursday, let's say noon, and I'll answer all your questions. Okay, then in front of them, put it on your calendar. Okay, like take out your phone, put it on your calendar, or write it down so they see it as an appointment. Okay, and now you've also got either their email or their text. So always follow up in writing. Hey, Mary, it was nice talking to you. Hope you got a chance to look at the video. Remember Thursday at noon, I'll be calling you. Okay, so now they've got it in writing and they've got it in person that you're going to follow up with them. Very, very purposeful. As they see that happening, okay? So the process is it's very important to be very specific and try to give them the next meeting. So if you're meeting with someone, let's say you've presented to them, or let's say you've given them an initial, a video or whatever, and you follow up with them, and let's say, let's stick with Mary. Let's say Mary's really marching along, and maybe she's even considering being a distributor or whatever. She's watched the video, you've given her some more information, and you say, hey, Mary, I think it'd be a good idea if we sat down maybe at Starbucks or a Panera or something like that, and I'll tell you a little bit more. Okay, and if she says yes, then again, right, what time of day is better for you? What days are you off? Okay, narrow it down, write down that time right in front of her, write it down, and then send a reminder. So each time that you're doing that. And that same process, and if you notice, you're just moving her along a process, okay? Ultimate goal is to get to give the whole spiel, the whole half an hour that tells the Dr. Wentz story, your story, potentially her future story. Tell her about the products, and then even if it's a product meeting, and then just say something at that meeting like, "Hey, would you mind if I just showed you how I earn my income? If it's not for you, it could be for someone that you know, and I covet your referrals." All right, people like that kind of talk. So it's very, very specific. Okay. Now, here's a big one for a lot of people is we forget to follow up. All right. One very an easy one to forget is the 90-day follow up, and this is what I call a 90-day follow up. If you get to the very end, let's say you're talking product to somebody or product or business, and at the end they say, "No, it's just not for me right now." Okay, and I don't push them at all. I chat with them. If they say, "Okay, it's just not for me right now," I say, "You know what? That's absolutely fine." If you know anyone that, if you think of anyone, you have any referrals, would love the referrals. But hey, would it be okay if I check back with you in, let's say, 90 days? Things change, life happens, and things may change for you. I may have some new information. You may be in a different place. Can I check back with you in 90 days? They almost always say yes to that. I don't think I've ever had anyone say no. Okay, they may not answer the phone when you call in 90 days because they may be being nice to you, but they always say yes. All right. So what I do, I kind of cheat. All right. So I use there's all kinds of systems out there, and I tell people I don't care what system you use for remembering to follow up. All right. I have got folks that buy very expensive software. They use CRM software. I've got folks that, like Trish likes pencil and paper. She likes to erase things and move things on her calendar and write notes and all that kind of stuff. No batteries required. It never runs out. She doesn't have to synchronize. It's always there. Whatever. That's fine. I'm very electronic. I like the electronic method. I've got people that use. They literally have a box of index cards. And with the date, with January, February, March, April, May, like that. So whenever they have any kind of interaction with someone, they put their name on an index card. They write down what the interaction was, and if the final note was follow up in 90 days, they just simply slide it out of this one and put it into the one 3 months from now, right? And then 3 months from now, they're going through the Rolodex and they say, oh, it's now March. I need to follow up with this person right here. All their notes are there. It doesn't cost you a stack of index cards. Okay, so you don't have to spend a lot of money, or you could. Either way, that's kind of how your group operates, whatever it is, or how you operate. And it's if you're talking to a millennial, they're going to want to use the electronic method. If you're talking to someone my age, they may want to go the paper method, and that's anywhere in between. I don't care, but you don't want to lose people. I will tell you one cheat that I do is I don't think it's the way you're supposed to do it, but I do it and it works. I use Gmail, and I use my Gmail calendar. So whenever I'm talking to somebody, if I schedule an appointment, hey Mary, we're going to meet next Thursday at noon. Thursday at noon, I put down Mary as my thing, and then in the calendar event, in the notes, because every calendar event has notes, I type in, I met Mary at Wegmans. She talked about an uncle with migraines. I sent her some information, and I promised her I would call her at this time. Okay, and I put that in the notes. So now, so it comes Thursday at noon. I'm like, Mary, what's Mary? Okay, I click on Mary. It's like, that's the one from Wegmans. I call her. All right. Now, if she says, okay, yeah, I'd like to look at more specific information from Ask the Scientist, whatever. Could you send that to me? I'll say yes, and I'll say, Mary, I'm going to send it to you. Can I touch base with you Monday at noon, give you a little time to review it, and maybe we can dig a little deeper? She says yes. I take that. So now I literally write that into the notes, and I move that calendar item to Monday. So by the time I call her again, now I've got a series of notes on her. I have all the tracking. I know exactly what I've said to her all along. And I always try to put in something personal. For instance, she's got 2 kids that play soccer, something like that, whatever it is. So when I call, I say, hey, Mary, it's Dave. We met at Wegmans. How's the kids' soccer thing going over? And when you call someone 90 days later and you mention something very specific like that, they're like, wow, this person really cares. But it's just in my notes because I even when I was young, I didn't have the brain power to do that. And now that I'm older, I need to keep good notes. All right, so keep good notes in your follow-up system. But again, it could be index cards. That's fine. And just keep records because you'll forget. And I know at the beginning it seems like I've only got 4 or 5 people to talk to. I'll remember them all. Okay, trust me. Over time, you're going to want to build this business to greater heights. Lots more people. You're going to end up having a difficult time remembering. I know I do. So even after a no, if someone says no, still follow up, use that 90-day approach, okay? Ask people, this is kind of important, what their preferred method of follow-up. And I'm even I've done this for some distributors. Kind of jokingly, I'd say, hey, would you like me to, call you, like, let's say it's a new distributor and you're really trying to keep them motivated. So you can say, would you like me to call you daily or text you daily? Or would you like to have a weekly call? Or do you prefer email or video or whatever? Or do you want me to leave you alone? Do you want to work on your own? Because some people are like, no, I'm a loner. I want to work on my own. If I have a problem, I'll come get you. That's fine. That's their method. That's the way they want to operate for now. You have to let people be where they are in their space. Okay, and that's, like I said, that's fine the way they are. So the but some people have a preferred method of contact also. For instance, a lot of people nowadays, they won't even answer their phone. Someone called me yesterday. Actually, Sherry from USANA called me yesterday, and I answered the phone, and she was like, "Oh," she jumped when I answered the phone. I was like, "What?" And she's like, "You answered your phone." I'm like, "Well, yeah, I know your name's in my phone. When it popped up, I answered the phone." And she goes, "No one answers their phone anymore," and it's true. We don't answer the phone. Everyone screens their calls. No, and I don't. If the number, if it's not familiar in my phone, I know it's a spam call typically, and I don't answer. And if it's important, they'll leave a message. Okay, so phone is kind of going out. Some people prefer to be very strongly prefer text, and some strongly prefer email. I'm kind of 50-50. I like email because it doesn't get lost. It's always there. Until I act on the email, I don't move it out of the inbox. So I know I've either deleted it, deferred it, or did it. Okay. If I don't do those three, then it doesn't get out of my, so I don't lose it. But some people prefer text. You'll notice text people they're just programmed to answer. If your phone rings, you look at it, you're like, oh, I'll let it go to voicemail, I'll wait, I'll respond to that later. If someone texts you, it's funny, you're just, there's something, every cell in your being says, I need to answer that. And you answer the text. So some people prefer that. But ask people what they prefer. I also believe in making sure, video, basically, little short videos. You can do... You can use, I have a system called BombBomb that I use, but there's all different systems out there that you can use, or you can just use little YouTube videos, or you can just send videos right from your iPhone or your Android or whatever. But small videos, stating their name, it's when someone gets a text and has a little video attached that says, "Hey Mary, I'm really looking forward to talking to you again at 12 o'clock on Thursday. Got any questions in the meantime? Just let me know. It was great meeting you." And they see your face, they see your countenance, and that sort of thing. Unless you're grumpy, don't be grumpy and do videos. That sort of thing. So you want to use video if you can. That's a personal opinion of mine. But again, make sure every follow-up is a defined step. Okay, so that defined step would be a specific time, specific date, etc. Here's a bad example. Don't give someone, say, "Hey, I'm going to send you a video. Watch it when you can, and get back to me. Okay, let me know what you think." They will never get back to you. It is not their priority, and it's not their fault. What it is the think about it this way: USANA is a very big priority for you. You understand it. You know how good these products are. You know Dr. Wentz's vision and his history and everything else. It's absolutely amazing. To anyone that's been in USANA a long time, they say you're in USANA, but is USANA in you? Once USANA's in you, man, it is your priority, and you're gonna tell the world, right? But to a new person who doesn't know what it is, they're like, "Well, what's this USANA thing? I don't even know what this is." So it's not their priority yet. So that's your job is to be there and continually make it their priority. So if you say, "Oh yeah, let me know what you think," they're going to wander off into oblivion, right? But if you say, "Hey, watch this video. I'm going to call you tomorrow at 7 p.m." They know they got something coming up. It's an appointment. Okay, so everything's an appointment, etc. All right. Let me see. I wrote down a couple notes here because I wrote down, "Am I pestering?" That was a big thing for me. A lot of USANA, a lot of success in network marketing in general. It's all what's between your ears. It's your self-talk. And if you call someone twice and then they don't answer or they don't respond to it, you go, "Oh man, I called them twice, man. They hate me." They don't like me. They don't like the color of my hair. Oh, I barely have hair, but they don't like something about me. Whatever it is, your mind goes in the craziest directions. Okay, and I got to the point where if I called someone 4 times and they didn't answer, I was like, "Oh man, I'm really pestering these guys. I'm going to make them angry now, and I'm not going to call again." And then over and over, I had mentors. I had people that said, "Keep calling, keep contacting. Try different times of day. Try leaving a voicemail. Try not leaving a voicemail. Try texting. Try different methods. Just send a little video, whatever it is." And inevitably, after 7 or 8 times, when I finally contacted the person, inevitably they said, "Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for your diligence. Thank you for your steadfastness. I have been just so busy, and it just hasn't been on the top of my mind. But I'm really appreciating the call, and yeah, I'm ready to talk." They always thank you. I've never had someone go, "What the heck are you doing calling me 6 times?" Never. They're always extremely nice when you finally get a hold of them. People's priorities are their priorities, and USANA is your priority right now. You gotta figure out a way to make that shift. Okay, so don't think that it just doesn't have the importance to them yet, and yet is the big thing. So. A little bit of summary here. So remember that the goal is to get them in front of the whole story. It's not just to sell them a product. It's not just to sell them a business. You want them to hear the whole story. And by the way, stories are the most important thing that you can do. Absolutely, the facts are great, but people resonate with stories. They resonate if you can sort of put them in your story. Like can you like draw them into your story. And it's the emotion of it. If you can make somebody cry with your story, try that. If you make someone cry, man, you got them. That's great. And the fortune is in the follow-up. It takes sometimes on average, 7 contacts before someone actually signs up. Some of our biggest leaders in USANA will tell you someone else asked them 7 times to join, and the timing was right. Don't ever think, by the way, you're following up, and you have this system going. You got all these names on your list, and it's you're working it, whatever, and some people are saying no. Well, they're saying no because they're just not in that looking zone right now. There's times, if you ask somebody that's, for instance, you start talking to somebody about the USANA business, and they just heard at their office, they're a professional, right? And they heard at their office that there's probably going to be some layoffs by the end of the year. And you come to them and start talking business, they're going to be all ears. They'll be like, well, tell me more about this. I could really use a little second stream, a little cushion, right? That's one thing. Then you talk to that same person, and they just got a massive raise and they won the lottery or whatever. They're going to be like, I don't need a business right now. I'm like, so understand health. Some people, they're in the prime of life and feeling no pain, and they just don't think they need supplements, and they won't talk to you. And then 6 months later, one of their family members, gets some kind of degenerative disease, or they're not feeling well, or whatever. All of a sudden, boom, they're in the looking zone. That's why that 90-day follow-up cycle is really important, because some of those people that you thought were just, that you followed up and they're just never going to be there, they end up joining. So that's kind of a cool concept. And you're not a pest, okay? No matter how many times you follow up with somebody, you're definitely not a pest. So trying to think anything else I had. I will tell you that USANA is, it works if you work it. And I'll give you a couple pieces of advice in closing. 2 pieces of advice. One of them is work on yourself first. And if you notice how these calls are designed, on Monday we talk about belief, okay? And part of that belief is yourself. It's also belief in the company and the products and the industry, but it's belief in yourself. And so work on that. And if you are following up people and you find a common objection, work on that belief that you have. You probably have some kind of a belief system glitch, and I'll give you an example. I had someone come to me and say, boy, everyone I talk to says that the Essentials are too expensive. And I was like, I have never had anyone tell me that Essentials are too expensive. And they're like, what? How can that be? And it's because I believe in my heart of hearts that it is the best health insurance money can buy. I believe these products are life-changing. And I believe spending $55 a month on your health, when we all go out and spend $5 a day on coffee anyway, I mean, it's really always priorities. It's always priorities in what you're spending. So in my heart of hearts, I believe that it's very inexpensive. I believe the amount of value you get for that price it's actually absolutely exceptional. So it comes out of my tone, it comes out of my face when I'm talking to somebody about this, and I say, yeah, here's the cell. What I want you to do is get on the Cell Essential. I write it down for them. I want you, and I shake my head, yes. I want you to get on the Cell Essentials. I want you to get on the Biomega at a minimum, and for you, I'd really recommend, let's say, the Proflavanol. Okay, and I write those 3 things down. And people don't say, oh, these are expensive, right? But so what happened was the person who was asking me the question, I asked them, so do you think they're expensive? And he says, well, yeah, kind of, because I used to take such and such, and it was this price. And so I worked on their belief system. Okay? It's all about your belief. So if you get a common objection from, let's say, 5 people, any common objection from 5 people, take that as a lesson that you need to figure out what's going on in your belief system that's triggering that response in those people. So USANA works if you work it. Right? So And two pieces of advice. The first one was to work on yourself first. Work on your beliefs. Work on your skill sets. Work on, the hidden gem of USANA is that you have to grow in order to make money. Like if you just stay alive at your day job, you'll probably get raises. Small, they may be small, but you'll get raises just by staying there, right? But in USANA, you get paid what you're worth. And if you can learn the skill sets and keep adding skill sets, you earn more money. That's the way it works, but you have to work it. So work on yourself first. And the second piece of advice that I got many, mmany years ago, probably 15 years ago, was build it fast because it's too painful to build it slow. I just thought that was a gem, because it's fun. If you go, you know what, and you can even do it in chunks. You can say, you know what, for the next 90 days, I am just gonna bust it. I'm gonna go over my whole names list. I'm gonna drag out my old names list. I'm gonna start making more phone calls than I've ever made. I'm gonna set goals to call 10 people a day. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. You just bust it for 90 days, and you absolutely go for it. You watch how much fun you have. Because it's fun to build it fast. If you build it slow, if you just, once a week I'll go talk to someone, once a week I'll go talk to someone, it's kind of like you're fighting against a current that's coming at you and you're trying to fight upstream. Once you get this thing rolling, it's really a blast to build it fast. So I always tell people, work on yourself first and then build it fast because it's too painful to build it slow. So anyway, I hope this blessed you guys. And like I said, I love the USANA United USA, the whole concept, all the people that are involved, what we're doing here, the fact that you can send your new people to this group. It's a safe place to get great information from a whole bunch of leaders, and really hope you guys enjoyed it. So thank you guys very much. Appreciate it. Bye, guys.